everyone. Hello, Dr. Laitman. Hello, hello. Hello, Shai. Hello. So, again, connecting to the Ten Sefirot. On our previous show, we talked about the law of root and branch, and we heard from you that there's like this upper law that exists in the form of a certain formula of root and branch that dictates everything that happens in the branches. And we have no choice here in the world of branches unless we create the same conditions, the same laws as exist in the Ten Sefirot. And this is what we'd like to find out about today. How do we create the same laws? So let's start with a quote. Rabash writes, "A congregation is no less than 10, since all the corporeal branches extend from the upper roots. Therefore, according to the rule, there is no light that does not have 10 Sefirot. In corporeality, something is not considered a congregation that can be regarded as important unless there are 10 men there, such as the upper degrees." What is he writing here actually about 10 men and 10 Sefirot? Dr. Laitman, he actually wants to say that every form in nature, of nature, is divided into 10, consists of 10 and is divided into tens and tens and tens, and all of these tens are interrelated, interconnected, and all in all, they build the form of reality. So we have 10 Sefirot, and everything in reality is built according to the same template, the same 10 Sefirot. But Rabash, in the quote, he focuses us on congregation and 10 men. What does he want to focus us on in relation to everything that we know from our study and from our studies and our work in tens? What we want to find out is how do 10 people connect to this template of the 10 Sefirot? What's the correlation? Dr. Laitman, I'd put it this way. The entire form of nature is 10. That is divided into tens and tens and tens of different sorts and kinds and different directions. It could be the still vegetative, animate, and the speaking. It could be according to quantity and distance and whatnot. But always the number 10 determines that after the 10 degrees of development, there develop another 10 and another 10, but all of these 10s, there is something that separates them, and there is something about them that's similar. And so the 10s, and so that there are 10s, this is clear to us. And every time that a 10 ends, and instead of it starts the next 10, then there's certain change. And again, this change is determined in this current 10 that was just born. And when it ends its development, then comes another 10. And thus one comes out of the other, and we can say infinitely. Host, why specifically 10 men can create, 10 people can create the conditions of the 10 Sefirot? Why not 10 atoms, 10 animals, but 10 people? Dr. Laitman. No, it's also the same connection into 10. It exists in all forms of nature, in the still, in the vegetative, in the animate, and in people. But the main thing is people, because people, if they come to that, if they reach it, then they have free choice of choosing their development, form of development, direction of development. Host, is there some kind of special substance in people that when you take these 10 together, they form the 10 Sefirot? Dr. Laitman, they don't know. But if they start working together, then this work together builds out of them a combination of the 10 Sefirot. Host, because according to this quote, this is how you ended our previous show, that if we will generate the spiritual conditions of the 10 Sefirot, we'll be able to both have free choice and also we'll be able to create the spiritual reality among us. So I'm asking, suppose Shai, I, you, Gil, and Yua that are shooting this show now, suppose we gather 10 people, then in whatever we create between us, this will create the spiritual conditions. Dr. Laitman, it will change us, that we will want to connect between us. We don't need to know who we are. But actually, the fact that we wish to work in a special combination between us, this will change everyone and will adapt each to the others. So each becomes like a sphera in the general structure. Dr. Laitman, yeah. Host, how can I know what sphera I am? Dr. Laitman, you don't, and you don't need to know. Host, so how do I know how to act? Dr. Laitman, you don't, and you don't need to. You only need to want to connect with everyone. And then the forces of nature, they will already turn you in a way that you will become in spirituality compatible and similar to one another, completing each other. Host, what needs to be special about the connection, my connection with 10 other people, 9 other people, or with people in general? What am I supposed to find there that will allow me to spiritually develop and discover the upper force? Dr. Laitman, you wish to be connected with them. Host, but connection exists in many places. Dr. Laitman, no, here we're talking about spiritual connection. Host, what is spiritual connection? What's special about it? Dr. Laitman, you wish to add to each other the spiritual forces that exist in each of you, and you study the wisdom of Kabbalah together, and you wish to come closer in order to really complete the structure of 10. Host, so if I combine my connection with other people with the wisdom of Kabbalah, then actually I implement the wisdom of Kabbalah in a group. Dr. Laitman, yes. Host, and in this group, we change. What changes us? Dr. Laitman, this is already the upper influence. Nature already starts making a system out of you, consisting of 10 parts, each of which, according to the others, changes its inner spiritual form, and therefore you become like 10 Sefirot, as 10 parts that influence each other. Host, so just to make sure, if I understand correctly, the smartest person that invests the most time closes himself in a room with books, studies, and heart and soul. If he's by himself, he will not be able to understand or attain the wisdom of Kabbalah. Dr. Laitman, no, he won't. It says the least of a group are 2, meaning that at least 2 people, if they study together and want to support one another, to join as one body, to become as one man and one heart, then 2 can do it too. But the optimum number for it are 10. Host, what I hear now, the switch that needs to be done. I'm used to things in this world. If I have a certain group with which I want to attain something, I need to understand the entire process to be as professional as possible, to deeply understand things, fully know. And what you're saying that is what you're saying is that in the wisdom of Kabbalah, I don't need to understand the process, but simply devote myself, Dr. Laitman, because you can't come to know it from the outside. You can get to know it on yourself in the measure to which you change according to the effort that you put in during the studies and when working on connection with your friends, 10 friends. Then from that you will learn how it works. The wisdom of Kabbalah, as much as it seems disconnected to us from all of reality, precisely in a group, by connecting with one another, wishing to add to each other, completing each other, precisely by that do we start attaining the connection, the proper, correct connection between us. And from the connection, we start getting to know the spiritual rules. Host, the spiritual force exists in every person, Dr. Light, more or less, but in everyone. Host, suppose someone hears these words for the first time, says, seems interesting. So I come, I meet 10 people. What do I do with them now? What does it mean to connect with them? Dr. Laitman, it's written about it. Host, so according to what the books say. Host, if I'm the first person, if I hear about this for the first time, and my entire life I was used to study by myself, search for spirituality by myself, I remember myself. I tried to learn how to advance. Now, listening to this, maybe by character, I'm not too social. I feel that I like being by myself. I like the quiet. And here the wisdom of Kabbalah says that the condition is that you need to connect with other people. And if by character it doesn't suit me, Dr. Laitman, nothing you can do. If you want to come under the influence of the spiritual laws of nature, you need to be connected to other people. Not many, but all in all, that there will be a group of 10. Could be less, but the optimum number is 10. Host, many times I heard you say that you, by character, don't need people. Dr. Laitman, don't need no one. Host, so how does it work then? Dr. Laitman, what can you do? Host, so you overcame your character and connected with other people. What did you do in order to make it happen? Dr. Laitman, I came to my teacher to study, my teacher, Rabash. And after some time, and I already studied a bit, I started speaking in Kabbalistic terminology a bit. I asked him, what can be done? How to advance? He said, nothing will help you but a society. You need to be in a society. And back then, there was no society. There was nothing. And so I started going to Tel Aviv then, to different places, giving lectures, talks. Usually it was in little synagogues in Tel Aviv. There are many such. And men, young fellows used to come there, and also women. And I used to tell them about the wisdom of Kabbalah. And that's how, gradually, bit by bit, we came to a state. We came to a state where they came to study, the men. That's it. Host, so you created for yourself the conditions that Rabash told you need for spiritual development, which is a society. Dr. Laitman, yes. Host, so there are people that by nature are very social. Dr. Laitman, not me. Host, and there are those that, to the contrary, they have social anxiety to tell someone hi. It's like I can faint. So those that are really social, do they have any kind of advantage in spirituality? Dr. Laitman, no, it means nothing. These are external things that appear to us the way they do in this world, but really it doesn't say anything about the inner structure. Host. So a person doesn't need to feel that he is unsuitable for the wisdom of Kabbalah if he has one or another kind of character. The main thing is you're yearning to discover the upper force, and then come to a society and you will find your place. Dr. Laitman, to know, what am I living for? Host, to find other people and talk to them about the wisdom of Kabbalah through that. Host, and what about different Kabbalists that we heard about throughout history that used to they isolated themselves, or a father and son that only they studied together in a cave? They had no 10? Dr. Laitman, well, they had a 10, but a well-known case is Rabbi Shimon. Most of them were less than 10. Host, but still it's enough in order to generate the necessary conditions. The number 10 is ideal, but it's not a must. Dr. Laitman, true. Host, I would like to ask, many times we heard you give the example that the Rabash used to give about the radio receiver. What does it mean, Dr. Laitman? I don't exactly know what example you're talking about. I have many such examples. Maybe we can even read it. It's a bit long, but it's an amazing quote by the Rabash. The whole earth is full of His glory, as it is written in the Zohar. There is no place vacant of Him, yet we do not feel it for our lack of tools of sensation. We can see that with a radio receiver, which receives all the signals in the world. The receiver does not create the sounds, rather, the sound exists in the world, but before we had the receiving device, we did not detect the sounds, although they did exist in reality. Likewise, we can understand that there is no place vacant of Him, but we need a receiving device. That receiving device is called dvikut, adhesion, and equivalence of form, which is a desire to bestow. When we have this machine, we will immediately feel that there is no place vacant of Him, but rather the whole earth is full of His glory. So from what I understand, the upper force, nature, the Creator, no matter how we call Him, is here. But I don't have the device with which to grasp Him. And as we heard today, the 10 is that device, Dr. Laitman. Yes? So what is the law of equivalence of form that he's talking about here? Dr. Laitman, the spiritual world has laws of its own. And its laws work on the force of bestowal, meaning giving to others. And not that I keep myself, but that I keep a good attitude toward others, to the benefit of others. In our world, it's to the contrary, that each thinks, how can I keep myself, fulfill myself by the other, through the other. That's the difference between spirituality and corporeality. They're opposites, these two forms of nature. Host, so in the 10, now, you say, I change my relation, I as if direct myself outwards toward those people. Dr. Laitman, yes. So when you connect in the 10, you connect precisely, specifically in order to be able to treat each other this way. Host, so I invert my inner frequency, Dr. Laitman, to the benefit of the 10. Host, and then, like that radio receiver, I perceive the spiritual reality that's already here. Dr. Laitman, if you can. Host, so what do I actually give them then? There's a 10 here now, what do I give them? Dr. Laitman, you give them your participation in their spiritual ascent, like they give you their own, and that's how you advance, helping each other. Host, so we give each other the spiritual energy, these spiritual forces, not that I give him something material. Dr. Laitman, no, not at all. Host, so the Ten Sefirot, we have to go back to the beginning of our show. The Ten Sefirot is the form in which the Creator created reality, this template, and every Sefirah has a very special connection with the rest of the Sefirot. Dr. Laitman, yes, host. And in order for us to discover the Ten Sefirot, we need to study how the Sefirot relate to each other, and this way I want to relate to other people in this world that also choose to study, and then we become Ten Sefirot. Dr. Laitman, not that you become the bearers of the Ten Sefirot. The bearer, that these 10 Sefirot are included in you, and the 10 friends that you wish to also externally and also internally help each other in order to reach the upper force that is included of 10 parts, and you want his qualities, his structure, to implement it between yourselves. Host, it's very intriguing. What's this relationship that I discover with other people, Dr. Laitman? You discover it in sense. Host, it's love, it's what, Dr. Laitman? Love, connection, support. Yep. Host, thinking forward. It's something that the entire world will need to come to eventually, as imaginary as it might seem. Dr. Laitman, yes, and for sure. Host, only how to get there. But that's for a different show already. There's this nice quote. There's the book of Maor and Shemesh. We heard from you that Bala Sulam really appreciated it, liked it. It's written in such a simple way. The gist of the assembly is for everyone to be in single unity and to ask for just one thing, to find the Creator, that in every 10 dwells the Shekhinah. It's so simple. How to communicate to a person who just started watching us that it's so simple, because life's so complicated. Dr. Laitman, here you're talking about something else. How to communicate it to someone who doesn't study. But between them, they are already in recognition of connection, and the measure to which they attain the connection between them on higher and higher levels, they feel how the special so-called upper force fulfills them, fulfills everyone. And then they act together. This is what they attain. Host, what inspires me is that the entire world is so complicated. You read the news, you're depressed. And actually, what I'm taught here is, like kids in the kindergarten, let's connect, let's stand in a circle, let's treat each other nicely. It's amazing the bypass we need to take in life in order to see that this is the solution. Dr. Laitman, because we followed our ego. Host, okay. We have many more questions, but we'll leave it for our further shows. Thank you very much. Thank you too. All the best. Good luck.